Tom was a hiker who loved the mountains more than anything else. Every weekend he packed his backpack with water, snacks, and a small first aid kit and went into the forest. The forest was his favorite place because it was quiet and peaceful. Birds sang in the morning, the wind moved the leaves, and the sunlight fell gently between the tall trees. Tom liked to walk slowly and enjoy every sound, every smell, and every small detail of the forest. One morning, Tom left his small town early. The sky was painted in shades of pink and orange as the sun slowly rose. He followed a path that led deep into the mountains. He'd been on this trail many times before, but he always noticed something new. Today the air smelled fresh and he felt calm and happy as he walked. After some time, Tom noticed something unusual. There was a faint sound in the distance, a sound that was not part of the usual forest noises. At first he thought it was an animal. Maybe a bird was calling or a squirrel had fallen from a tree. But then he heard it again. It was a girl's voice calling for help. The words were clear enough to understand, and they shocked him. "They're hurting my mom," the girl shouted. Tom froze for a moment. He had never heard anyone cry for help in the forest before. His heart beat faster. He could feel the fear and urgency in the girl's voice. He knew he could not ignore it. Without thinking twice, he ran toward the voice. The forest was thick and trees and bushes blocked his path, but he kept moving as fast as he could. While running, Tom tried to stay calm. He thought about what he should do. Should he call the police first or try to help immediately? The voice sounded so scared, and he felt it was important to act fast. He kept his backpack on his shoulders, and in one hand, he held a sturdy walking stick he always carried for safety. As he moved closer, he could hear the sound of struggling. His heart pounded in his chest, and he tried to stay quiet so he could hear everything. Soon, he reached a small clearing in the forest. There, near a fallen tree, he saw the girl. She looked very young, maybe 10 or 11 years old. Her cheeks were wet with tears, and she covered her face with her hands. Tom's eyes quickly searched the clearing. Behind the girl, he saw two men struggling with a woman. The woman was older, and she looked weak. She tried to get away, but the men were strong and held her tightly. Tom's mind raced. He had to help, but he had to be careful. If he rushed, he could get hurt, and the situation could get worse. The girl noticed him and shouted again, "Please help my mom." Her voice was full of fear but also hope. Tom nodded to her silently, signaling that he was going to help. He picked up a thick branch that had fallen near the clearing. It was strong enough to use if needed. He held it tightly in both hands, ready to act. Slowly, Tom stepped into the clearing. He kept his eyes on the two men, trying to understand what was happening. The men did not see him at first. He thought carefully about his next move. He could try to scare them away by shouting, or he could confront them carefully. He decided to be brave and loud. "Hey," Tom shouted. The sound of his voice echoed in the forest. The men turned around, surprised. They had not expected anyone to be nearby. Tom raised the branch, not to hit them at first, but to show he was not afraid. The girl watched him closely, hope shining in her eyes. The men looked at each other and then at Tom. They seemed unsure. Tom took a few steps closer, keeping his branch ready. "Let her go," he said firmly. "You have no right to hurt anyone." His voice was strong, and he tried to keep his fear hidden. The girl ran a few steps behind Tom, staying close to him. She whispered, "Thank you." Tom gave her a small nod, but kept his eyes on the men. He knew the situation was not over. The woman struggled a little more, trying to push one of the men away. Tom saw this and felt he needed to act faster. He stepped forward with more confidence and swung the branch near the men's feet. It was not meant to hit them, only to make them step back. The men were startled. Tom could see that they were not expecting anyone to interfere. He moved closer, keeping his branch in front of him, ready to protect the woman and the girl. The woman finally had a chance to push herself free. She stumbled but ran toward Tom, who helped her keep balance. The girl ran with her mother, holding her hand tightly. Tom guided them both toward the edge of the clearing, away from the men. The men shouted angrily, but they did not chase them. They seemed confused and unsure about what to do next. Tom led the mother and daughter to a safe spot near a small stream. They could rest there, and the forest around them was quiet again. The girl hugged her mother tightly, and the mother looked at Tom with gratitude. "Thank you," she said. "You saved us." Tom smiled and said, "It's okay. You're safe now." He checked the mother carefully. She had some scratches and looked tired, but she was alive and able to move. The girl sat beside her mother, holding her hand. Tom felt relieved. The forest was peaceful again, and he knew he had made the right choice by helping them. Tom stayed with them for a while, making sure they were calm. He gave them some water from his backpack and helped the mother sit comfortably. The girl kept looking at Tom, her eyes still a little scared but also full of trust. Tom promised them that he would stay until they were completely safe. After some time, the mother told Tom what had happened. They had been walking through the forest when the two men tried to take them somewhere. They had fought back but were too weak to escape on their own. The girl had shouted for help, hoping someone would hear her. Luckily, Tom had been there. Tom listened carefully and nodded. He told them not to worry and that they would soon be safe. He also said he would guide them out of the forest to the nearest road, where they could get help if needed. The mother and daughter agreed, trusting Tom completely. As they started walking together, the girl held her mother's hand tightly and occasionally looked at Tom. The forest seemed less frightening with Tom by their side. Birds chirped, the wind blew gently, and the sunlight shone on the path ahead. Tom felt proud that he had acted quickly and bravely when someone needed help. The three of them moved slowly but carefully, making sure the men could not follow them. Tom stayed alert, listening to every sound around them. He made sure the mother and daughter felt safe and secure. They walked for some time until they finally saw the edge of the forest and the road beyond it. When they reached the road, Tom waved to a passing car. The driver stopped and the mother and daughter got in safely. The girl looked back at Tom and smiled. The mother nodded, tears in her eyes, grateful for everything he had done. Tom waved back and smiled, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. Tom stayed there for a moment, watching the car drive away. He took a deep breath, feeling the peace of the forest again. The birds were singing, the wind moved the leaves, and the sunlight made the trees shine. He felt happy knowing that he had helped someone in need. Tom then turned and walked back into the forest, ready to continue his hike. He knew that the forest was not always safe, but he also knew that courage and quick thinking could make a difference. Today he had acted bravely, and two people's lives were changed because of it. Tom smiled to himself and thought about how small actions could have big effects. He continued walking along the trail, enjoying the sounds of the forest and the feeling of being in the mountains. The adventure had been unexpected, but it reminded him of the importance of helping others. As he walked further, Tom felt stronger, braver, and more connected to the world around him. The forest was beautiful, and he knew that even in difficult situations he could make a difference. Today had been a day to remember, and he would carry the memory with him forever. After the mother and daughter drove away safely, Tom stood at the edge of the road for a few moments. The forest behind him was calm now, but his heart still beat fast. He could not forget the fear in the girl's voice, and he knew that even though they were safe, the memory of the event would stay with him. Tom decided to go back into the forest, partly because he loved hiking, but also because he wanted to make sure no one else would face danger there. The trail was quiet, and the sunlight passed gently through the tall trees. Tom walked slowly at first, thinking about what had happened. He felt proud that he had acted quickly and bravely, but he also felt a sense of responsibility. The forest could be beautiful, but it could hide unexpected dangers. Tom wanted to be careful and alert in every step he took. As he walked deeper into the forest, he noticed signs of recent activity. Footprints, broken branches, and disturbed leaves suggested that the two men were still somewhere nearby. Tom felt a chill. He did not want to confront them again, but he also wanted to make sure no one else would be hurt. He decided to follow the trail cautiously, keeping a safe distance from any signs of movement. He moved silently, listening to the forest around him. Birds were singing and the wind made the leaves rustle, but Tom was focused on the sounds that were unusual. Every crack of a branch or snap of a twig made him alert. He held his walking stick firmly, ready to defend himself if needed. He knew he had to be smart and careful. After walking for a while, Tom reached a small river. The water flowed gently and sunlight reflected on its surface. He paused for a moment to drink some water from his bottle. While resting, he noticed something unusual near the riverbank. A small bag had been left behind. Tom picked it up and opened it. Inside were some personal belongings, including papers, a wallet, and a small phone. Tom examined the items carefully. He realized that they might belong to the mother and daughter, or possibly the men. He thought about what he should do. He decided to keep the bag safe and later give it to the authorities if needed. Tom carefully put it in his backpack and continued walking. He knew that the forest still had more surprises waiting, but he felt prepared. As he walked further, the forest grew denser. The path became narrower, and sunlight reached the ground less. Tom enjoyed the quiet, but he remained alert. Suddenly, he heard a soft cry from behind a cluster of trees. He froze. His heart started beating faster. Could someone else be in trouble? Tom moved slowly toward the sound, careful not to make noise. He reached a small clearing and saw a young boy sitting on a fallen log. The boy looked scared and lost. His clothes were torn and he had scratches on his arms. Tom knelt down and spoke gently. "Hello, are you okay?" The boy looked up, eyes wide with fear. He nodded slowly but did not say anything. Tom realized that the boy had probably been hiding for some time. Tom offered the boy some water and a snack from his backpack. The boy took them carefully, still looking nervous. Tom waited patiently. After a few moments, the boy spoke in a small voice. "I was walking with my sister and we got lost. Then some men came and I ran." Tom listened carefully and understood that the boy had witnessed something dangerous, but he had escaped safely. Tom knew he could not leave the boy alone. He decided to guide him back to the edge of the forest where it would be safe. The boy followed quietly, trusting Tom. As they walked, Tom talked to the boy, trying to calm him. "It is okay now. You are safe. We will find your sister." The boy nodded, his fear slowly fading as he walked beside Tom. While guiding the boy, Tom noticed more signs of the men. Broken branches, footprints, and small traps suggested that they might be looking for someone. Tom felt a strong need to warn the authorities. He decided to find a way out of the forest quickly and report what he had seen. Safety was the most important thing now. After walking for a while, they reached a wider path. Tom could see the edge of the forest ahead. The boy's face lit up with relief. "I think I know the way," he said quietly. Tom smiled and nodded. "Good. Let's go together carefully." They moved slowly, making sure not to leave the path. The forest behind them looked calm, but Tom knew that appearances could be deceiving. Finally, they reached a small road that led to the town. A few cars passed by and Tom stopped one of them. The driver agreed to take the boy safely to the authorities. Tom felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He had helped someone in danger again, and he knew the boy would be safe now. He watched the car drive away, feeling a mixture of relief and pride. After helping the boy, Tom decided to take a short break. He sat on a rock near the road, drinking water and catching his breath. He thought about the events of the day, first the mother and daughter, and now this boy. It had been unexpected, but he was glad he had acted quickly. Tom knew that courage and careful thinking could make a difference. While resting, Tom noticed the forest on the other side of the road. It looked calm, but he could feel that it still held secrets. He thought about exploring further, but he knew he needed to be cautious. The day was far from over, and there might be more people who needed help. Tom decided to stay alert and continue walking carefully along the edge of the forest. As he walked, Tom saw more signs of life. A deer crossed the path and birds flew overhead. The forest seemed peaceful, but Tom's mind was alert. He thought about the men who had caused danger earlier. He hoped that they would not harm anyone else, but he knew he could not take chances. Tom decided to report everything he had seen once he reached town. After some time, Tom reached a small bridge that crossed a stream. The boy's story stayed in his mind, and he felt determined to make sure that everyone involved would be safe. He checked his backpack to make sure he had everything he needed and continued walking along the path. The sun was higher now, and its light made the forest look golden and beautiful. While crossing the bridge, Tom heard a faint sound again. He stopped and listened carefully. It sounded like someone calling for help, but it was very soft. Tom's heart beat faster. Could it be another person in danger? He quickly moved toward the sound, careful not to make noise. The forest seemed quieter now, as if it was waiting. He followed the sound to a small hill covered with bushes. Behind the bushes, he saw a young woman sitting on the ground. She looked scared and tired. Tom knelt down and spoke gently. "Hello, are you okay? Can I help you?" The woman looked at him with wide eyes and nodded slowly. She was relieved to see someone there. Tom gave her some water and asked her to explain what had happened. She said she had been walking alone when she saw the two men from earlier. They had threatened her and tried to take her belongings. She had run and hidden in the bushes. Tom listened carefully and nodded. He knew he had to guide her to safety. He helped her up and led her slowly toward the edge of the forest. The young woman followed quietly, trusting him completely. Tom stayed alert, watching the forest behind them. He knew that safety was the most important thing now. The woman's fear gradually faded as she walked beside Tom. Finally, they reached a small clearing that led to a road. Tom could see the town in the distance. He felt relieved that he had helped another person escape danger. The young woman thanked him repeatedly. Tom smiled and said, "You are safe now. That is what matters." He felt proud and happy to see people safe because of his quick thinking. Tom watched the young woman head toward the town safely. He took a deep breath and looked at the forest behind him. It had been a long day, full of unexpected events, but he felt stronger and braver. The forest was beautiful, but it also reminded him that danger could appear anywhere. As Tom walked back into the forest, he felt determined to continue helping anyone in need. He knew that courage, quick thinking, and kindness could make a difference in the world. The forest was peaceful again, and the sunlight shone gently through the trees. Tom smiled to himself, ready for whatever adventure awaited next. Tom walked back into the forest with a sense of determination. The events of the day had tested him in ways he had never expected, but he felt ready for whatever might come next. The forest was quiet now, filled with soft sunlight and the songs of birds. The air was fresh and the scent of pine trees made him feel alert and awake. Even though he had already helped several people, he knew there could be more who needed him. As he moved deeper along the trail, he noticed signs that the men from earlier were still in the area. Broken branches, footprints, and small disturbances in the leaves suggested that they had not left. Tom's heart beat faster. He did not want to confront them directly, but he wanted to make sure no one else was in danger. He gripped his walking stick tightly, ready to act if needed. The forest path led him to a steep hill. From the top, he could see a wide area covered in thick trees and shrubs. Something about the clearing below made him pause. He squinted and noticed movement near a cluster of trees. Tom crouched behind a large rock to observe carefully. He could see a small group of people being cornered by two men. The group included an older man, a woman, and a small child. They looked frightened and unsure where to go. Tom's mind raced. He had to act quickly, but he could not rush without thinking. He scanned the area and found a fallen tree that could be used to block the men if necessary. He also noticed a narrow path through the bushes that could allow him to approach quietly. Tom decided to move carefully and try to distract the men first. He stepped onto the path slowly, making sure his movements were silent. The men were focused on the family, unaware of Tom's presence. He held his walking stick in front of him, ready to use it if needed, but his main plan was to scare them and create an opportunity for the family to escape. Tom took a deep breath, focusing on staying calm and alert. As he got closer, he shouted loudly, "Hey! Stop right there!" The men turned around, surprised to see someone in the forest. Tom raised his walking stick, not to attack at first, but to show that he was ready to defend himself. The family looked at him with hope and relief in their eyes. The small child clung to their mother, and the older man held her shoulder protectively. The men hesitated. They were not expecting anyone to interfere. Tom moved a few steps closer, keeping his stick in front of him and speaking firmly. "Leave them alone. You have no right to scare or harm anyone." His voice echoed in the forest, strong and confident. The men looked at each other, unsure what to do next. Tom could see that they were surprised by his courage. While the men were distracted, the older man whispered to the family, "Follow me carefully. Move behind the trees." Tom nodded to them, signaling that he would cover their escape. Slowly and quietly, the family moved behind the trees, putting distance between themselves and the men. The small child looked back at Tom with wide eyes, trusting him completely. Tom continued to shout and wave his walking stick, keeping the men's attention on him. He noticed that one of the men started to step back, unsure of how to respond. Tom took advantage of the moment and moved closer, his voice steady. "Leave now and never come back. This forest is not the place for hurting others." The men looked frustrated and angry, but they did not advance. Suddenly, one of the men tried to grab a branch nearby to intimidate Tom. Tom was ready. He swung his stick toward the man's direction, making sure to stay safe while showing strength. The man stepped back quickly. Tom could see that his presence had made a difference. The men seemed unsure and hesitant now. The family continued to move slowly through the trees, guided by Tom's instructions. The child's hand held tightly to their mother, and the older man kept a watchful eye on the men behind them. Tom made sure they moved quietly but steadily, keeping them hidden from the men's view. He knew they had to reach the edge of the forest for safety. As they moved, Tom noticed a small stream nearby. He decided that the water could be used to hide their footprints temporarily. He guided the family carefully to the stream, and they walked along its edge. The men were still in the clearing, looking frustrated, but they did not follow immediately. Tom felt a sense of relief, but he stayed alert. The family finally reached a small hill that led toward a road. Tom signaled for them to climb carefully. The older man helped the woman and child while Tom stayed at the back, making sure no one was left behind. They moved steadily, step by step, until they reached the top of the hill. From there, they could see the road below, and they knew they were almost safe. Tom signaled to a passing car, and the driver stopped. The family climbed in quickly, thanking Tom repeatedly. The child waved at him, and the mother nodded with gratitude. Tom smiled and waved back. Seeing them safe gave him a deep sense of satisfaction. He knew that his quick thinking and bravery had made a difference in their lives. After ensuring the family was safe, Tom took a moment to catch his breath. The forest was calm again, but he knew that the day was not over. There could be more people in danger, and he wanted to be ready if needed. He checked his backpack to make sure he had water and snacks, then continued walking along the trail. The forest grew denser as he walked further. The sunlight was softer now, filtering through the trees in golden beams. Tom felt a mix of relief and determination. He had helped several people today, but he knew he could not stop until he was certain the forest was safe. He remained alert, listening carefully to every sound around him. Suddenly, he heard a faint cry. It was soft but desperate. Tom's heart beat faster. Could someone else be in danger? He moved quickly toward the sound, careful to stay quiet and unnoticed. As he got closer, he noticed a small cabin partially hidden by trees. Smoke was rising from its chimney, but the cry was coming from nearby. Tom approached the cabin slowly. Behind it, he saw a young girl trapped in a net that had been tied between two trees. She looked scared but was trying to free herself. Tom ran forward and shouted, "Don't worry, I will help you." The girl looked up with wide eyes. Relief and hope shone in her face. She tried to call out, but her voice was weak from fear. Tom quickly examined the net. It was strong but not impossible to open. He pulled and untied the knots carefully, making sure the girl would not be hurt. After a few tense minutes, the net finally loosened and the girl stepped out carefully. She hugged Tom's arm and whispered, "Thank you. I was so scared." Tom smiled and said gently, "You are safe now. Come with me, and I will take you to safety." As they walked toward the edge of the forest, Tom asked the girl what had happened. She explained that she had been collecting herbs near the cabin when the two men appeared. They had trapped her and were demanding that she tell them where her family was. She had tried to hide, but the net caught her. Tom listened carefully and reassured her that she was safe now. They walked together toward the road, keeping a careful eye on the surroundings. The girl stayed close, trusting Tom completely. Finally, they reached a point where they could see a small town in the distance. Tom waved to a passing car, and the driver agreed to take the girl safely to her home. She smiled at Tom, tears in her eyes, and waved goodbye. Tom watched the car drive away. The forest was peaceful again, but he felt a deep sense of accomplishment. He had helped more people today than he had ever imagined. His courage, careful thinking, and determination had saved lives. As he walked back into the forest, he felt stronger, braver, and more aware of the world around him. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in soft colors. Tom continued his hike, enjoying the quiet of the forest and the satisfaction of knowing that he had made a difference. He knew that danger could appear unexpectedly, but he also knew that courage and kindness could change everything. Tom smiled to himself and thought about the people he had helped today. Each life was precious, and he was grateful that he had been in the right place at the right time. The forest was still beautiful, and he felt ready for whatever adventure or challenge might come next. Tom walked deeper into the forest as the sun slowly began to lower in the sky. Shadows stretched between the trees, and the air grew cooler. The events of the day had left him alert and cautious, but he also felt a strong sense of responsibility. He had already helped several people, and he could not ignore the possibility that someone else might be in danger. The forest was beautiful, but it could also hide unexpected challenges. The trail became narrower as he moved forward, and the trees grew taller and thicker. Tom's footsteps were quiet, and he paid attention to every sound around him. Birds chirped softly and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. Yet he remained focused, listening for anything unusual. After a while, he noticed footprints in the soft earth. They were fresh and led toward a small hill in the distance. Tom followed the footprints carefully, making sure to stay hidden as he approached the hill. He noticed movement among the trees. Someone was there, and they seemed to be in trouble. Tom's heart beat faster. Could it be another person who needed help? He crouched behind a large rock and looked carefully. In the clearing, he saw a young boy trapped inside a circle of ropes. The ropes were tied to nearby trees, forming a barrier. The boy struggled to free himself, but the knots were strong. His face showed fear and confusion. Tom could see that he had been trapped for some time. He knew he had to act quickly. Tom stepped forward cautiously, holding his walking stick in both hands. "Don't worry," he said firmly. "I will help you." The boy looked up, his eyes wide with relief. He tried to speak, but fear made his voice weak. Tom knelt down and examined the ropes. They were tied tightly, but he could loosen them carefully without hurting the boy. After several tense minutes, Tom managed to untangle the knots. The boy stepped out of the circle, shaking but safe. He hugged Tom's arm and whispered, "Thank you." "I was scared." Tom smiled and reassured him. "You are safe now. Come with me, and I will take you out of the forest." As they walked together, the boy explained what had happened. He had been exploring the forest near the small cabin he had visited earlier. The same two men had appeared again and trapped him. He had tried to escape, but got caught in the ropes. Tom listened carefully and nodded. He knew that the men were dangerous, but he was determined to get the boy to safety. The forest grew darker as they walked. The sunlight was fading and shadows stretched across the ground. Tom led the boy carefully along the trail, keeping an eye on the surroundings. The forest was quiet, but he could sense that danger was not far. He remained alert, listening to every sound and movement. After a while, they reached a small stream. The water flowed gently, and Tom decided to let the boy rest for a moment. He gave him some water from his bottle and spoke gently. "We need to be careful. The men might still be nearby. We will go slowly and stay safe." The boy nodded, trusting him completely. While resting, Tom noticed fresh footprints along the stream. They looked like the same men who had caused trouble earlier. Tom's heart beat faster, but he did not panic. He knew he had to stay calm and think carefully. He decided to take a different path, hidden among the trees to avoid being seen. They moved quietly, step by step, making sure not to leave a trail. Tom guided the boy through the dense forest, using his experience to find the safest way. The boy occasionally looked around nervously, but Tom reassured him. "We are almost out of danger. Stay close and everything will be okay." After some time, they reached a small hill overlooking a larger clearing. In the clearing, Tom saw a faint light. He realized it was a campfire. Around it, he could see the two men talking. They had not noticed Tom and the boy above them. Tom carefully planned the next step. He could either confront the men or find a safe way around. Tom decided to stay hidden and guide the boy around the clearing. He led him through thick bushes and low trees, keeping them out of sight. The men were distracted, talking angrily and looking around. Tom moved silently, making sure they could not see him. The boy held his hand tightly, trusting him completely. Finally, they reached the edge of the clearing. Beyond it, a narrow path led toward a road. Tom signaled to the boy to follow closely. They moved quickly but quietly, careful not to make a sound. The forest seemed peaceful again, but Tom remained alert. The men were still in the clearing, but they had not noticed them. As they reached the path, Tom breathed a little easier. The road was visible in the distance. He knew that once they reached it, they would be safe. The boy's face lit up with relief. "We made it," he whispered. Tom smiled and nodded. "Yes, we are almost safe." They continued along the path, keeping a careful watch for any signs of danger. The forest was darker now, but the moonlight helped them see. Tom guided the boy step by step, making sure they did not stumble. The boy occasionally looked back at the forest, still scared, but trusting Tom completely. After a while, they reached the road. Tom waved to a passing car and the driver stopped. He helped the boy into the car safely. The boy waved at Tom, tears in his eyes, and thanked him again. Tom smiled and nodded. Seeing the boy safe gave him a deep sense of satisfaction. Once the car drove away, Tom paused to rest. The forest was calm and the moonlight shone gently through the trees. He thought about the events of the day. He had helped several people, each in danger, and he had managed to keep them safe. His courage, quick thinking, and careful planning had made a difference. While resting, Tom noticed something unusual in the forest. A faint light flickered in the distance. It looked like another fire, but it was smaller. Tom's curiosity and concern grew. He wondered if someone else was in trouble. He knew he could not ignore it. With careful steps, he moved toward the light. As he got closer, Tom saw a small group of people gathered near a cabin. They looked frightened and unsure what to do. The two men from earlier were not visible, but it was clear that the group needed help. Tom's heart beat faster. He had to act, but he also had to be careful. He stepped into view slowly, holding his walking stick in front of him. "Hello, are you okay?" he asked firmly. The group looked up with wide eyes. Tom noticed a young woman and a child among them. Relief and hope shone on their faces when they saw him. Tom guided them carefully away from the cabin. He stayed alert, watching for any signs of danger. The forest was quiet now, but he knew that safety was not guaranteed. He made sure they moved, slowly, step by step, toward the edge of the forest and the road. Finally, they reached a point where the road was visible. Tom waved to a passing vehicle and the driver agreed to take the group safely to town. The young woman and child smiled at him, tears in their eyes. Tom felt proud and relieved. He had helped another group escape danger safely. As the vehicle drove away, Tom took a deep breath. The forest was peaceful and the moonlight made it look magical. He thought about the day. He had faced danger, helped many people, and stayed calm under pressure. Tom felt proud of his courage and determination. He continued walking along the forest trail, enjoying the quiet and the beauty of the night. He knew that danger could appear at any time, but he also knew that bravery, careful thinking, and kindness could change everything. The forest was full of surprises, and Tom was ready for whatever might come next. Tom continued walking through the forest, feeling the cool night air on his face. The moonlight lit the trees and the shadows danced across the trail. He had already helped several people today, but he could not stop thinking about the events. He knew the forest could still hide danger, and he wanted to make sure everyone was safe before leaving. Tom's heart beat steadily, full of determination and alertness. As he walked, he noticed a faint rustling near a cluster of trees. Tom paused immediately. He held his walking stick firmly and listened carefully. The sound grew louder and he realized it was someone moving through the underbrush. He stepped quietly toward the sound, making sure he stayed hidden until he understood what was happening. From behind a large oak tree, Tom saw a young girl crouched on the ground. Her face was wet with tears and she looked frightened. Tom's heart sank. He knew that another person had been caught in trouble. He stepped into view slowly and spoke gently. "Hello, you're safe now. I will help you." The girl looked up at him, her eyes wide with fear and hope. She whispered, "Please help me. I was trying to find my mother and I got lost." Tom nodded reassuringly. "Don't worry. We will find her. Come with me and I will make sure you are safe." The girl hesitated for a moment, then slowly got up and followed him. Tom guided her carefully through the forest, watching the shadows and listening for any unusual sounds. The trees were dense and the path was narrow, but he used his experience to find the safest route. The girl held his hand tightly, trusting him completely. She was small and tired, but her trust gave him courage to keep moving forward. After some time, they reached a clearing where Tom noticed footprints leading in different directions. He realized the mother might be close by. He decided to follow the fresh tracks carefully. The girl stayed quiet, her eyes scanning the forest nervously. Tom spoke softly. "We are getting closer." Stay calm and everything will be okay. As they moved, Tom saw a small stream ahead. He knew the water could be used to hide footprints if necessary. They walked along the edge of the stream, stepping carefully on rocks and avoiding mud. The forest around them was quiet, but Tom remained alert. He could not afford to make mistakes. Finally, they reached a small hill. From the top, Tom could see a figure in the distance. It was a woman searching anxiously. The girl's face lit up with relief. "Mom," she shouted softly. The woman turned around and ran toward them. Tears streamed down her face as she hugged her daughter tightly. Tom felt a deep sense of satisfaction seeing them reunited. The mother looked at Tom with gratitude. "Thank you," she said. "You saved my daughter." Tom smiled and nodded. "It's okay. You are safe now. That is what matters." The woman held her daughter's hand, and together they started walking toward the edge of the forest. Tom stayed behind them for a moment, making sure they were safe before moving on. As he continued walking, Tom reflected on the day. He had helped many people escape danger, each situation different but all requiring quick thinking and courage. He realized how small actions could have a big impact on someone's life. His heart was full of pride and satisfaction. The forest had tested him, but he had responded with bravery and care. The trail led Tom toward a wider path. The moonlight made the trees shimmer, and he felt a sense of peace. He noticed the footprints of the men who had caused trouble earlier. They were scattered, suggesting they had left the area. Tom felt relieved but stayed cautious. He knew that safety meant remaining alert until the very end. As he walked further, he heard soft sounds of movement near a group of rocks. Tom approached slowly and saw a young man sitting quietly, looking scared. The young man explained that he had been hiking alone when he saw the two men and hid behind the rocks to avoid them. Tom listened carefully and reassured him. "You are safe now. Come with me and I will take you to safety." The young man followed Tom along the trail. The forest seemed peaceful, but Tom knew that danger could return at any moment. He guided the man carefully, step by step, making sure they remained hidden from view. They reached a small clearing, and Tom pointed toward a road visible in the distance. "Almost there," he said. "Stay close." They moved quickly but quietly along the path. The young man asked questions, and Tom answered gently, explaining how he had helped others today. The young man listened, inspired by Tom's bravery and calmness. He realized that courage and careful thinking could make a real difference in the world. Tom smiled quietly, feeling proud that he had been able to guide him safely. Finally, they reached the road. Tom waved to a passing car, and the driver stopped. The young man got into the car safely and waved at Tom, thanking him. Tom watched the car drive away, feeling a sense of relief and fulfillment. He had helped everyone he could today, and he knew that they would be safe. Tom took a deep breath and looked at the forest one last time. The moonlight cast silver shadows on the trees, and the air was filled with the sounds of nature. He felt a connection to the forest and to the people he had helped. Today had been challenging, but it had also shown him the power of courage, kindness, and quick thinking. As he started walking back toward his home, Tom thought about the lessons he had learned. Every person mattered, and even small actions could change lives. Bravery was not about fighting, but about making the right decisions and helping those in need. He felt proud to have made a difference in so many lives today. The forest gradually became quieter as he moved away from the deeper trails. The night air was cool and fresh, and the stars shone brightly in the sky. Tom walked calmly, feeling a sense of completion and peace. He knew that the people he had helped would remember his actions, and he would remember the day as one of courage and kindness. As he reached the edge of the forest near his town, Tom saw the first lights of houses glowing warmly. He smiled, knowing he had done everything he could to help. The forest had tested him, but he had stayed calm, brave, and determined. Today had been an adventure, but also a reminder of the importance of helping others. Tom paused for a moment, looking back at the forest. The trees stood tall and quiet, as if thanking him for protecting those who had entered it. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for the day, for the people he had helped, and for the strength he had discovered in himself. The forest had been challenging, but it had also shown him the power of courage and kindness. As Tom walked the final stretch toward his home, he felt proud and content. He had acted when it mattered, and his actions had changed lives. The mother and daughter, the young boy, the young woman, and the others he had helped would now be safe. Tom knew he had made a difference, and that gave him a feeling of true satisfaction. Finally, Tom reached his home. He set down his backpack and looked at the forest in the distance. The sun would rise again, and the forest would continue to hold its beauty and challenges. Tom smiled, knowing he would always remember today. His courage, determination, and careful thinking had made a real difference, and that was the most important reward.